Hi, my name's Natasha and I'm sure you're looking at me wondering how I look so glamorous today, and that's because I'm in the middle of a declutter and I've decided that before I take all of these books that are here next to me to charity shops or wherever other places they're going, that I would do an unhaul. This is my TBR shelves, and I tend to not keep books unless I'm going to reread them, such as Harry Potter and things, so they're in a separate place, and so therefore I read books once and I pass them on. My battery is going. Great start to this video. Oh, and my jumper says read more books, and it's from Joni Clothing. I paid for it myself because, you know, of course I did. The first book is A Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This is the first book in a series and I've already pre-ordered the second book, which I think is called Bad Blood, something about blood. I really enjoyed this. It's a girl called Andy Bell has gone missing, and the main character in this book, does it tell me her name? Pippa. And Pippa, who's the main character in this book, decides to do some research and write about Andy in a project that she's doing at school, and she gets a little bit too close to comfort, I think, to the truth, and so it's a mystery, but it's YA, but it keeps you on your toes and it's got some twists, and I didn't really guess some of the twists and turns, so I quite liked that. It was a quick and easy read. It was enjoyable, but it's just I won't be rereading this book. I will be reading the second one, so I'm going to pass this on and hope that somebody else will enjoy it as much as I did. Next is a stupid mistake of mine. I'm currently on some different medication. I have chronic migraines, so I have migraines every single day, and I'm seeing a neurologist and various things, and it's been going on for probably at least 4 or 5 years now, and I'm on new medication that has given me insomnia. And during bouts of insomnia in the night, I shop, which is not good for my bank balance, but also not good for me because I accidentally ordered Beautiful Player by Christina Lauren in German. I don't know how I did this, but I did. So this book, obviously I did German at school, and I could probably understand if someone told me their name and where they lived and how old they were, but beyond that couldn't do it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, really. I don't know how to find it a better home, because obviously the charity shops won't want it in German, so I don't quite know what I do about this, but I made a mistake and I'm blaming insomnia and stupidity. I forgot to say that I have a Goodreads, and I've just checked and I gave A Good Girl's Guide to Murder 4 stars. So now we're gonna carry on with the books that I have read and that I am not going to reread, so I'm going to pass them on. Next up we have Sarah Millican, How to Be Champion, and I really like Sarah Millican and I find her really funny. I've seen her live. I think she's great, and I think this book is very good, but this book also helped me realise that I don't think I'm an autobiography person. With fiction, I get engrossed into the world and I devour an entire book, and I find that with non-fiction and autobiographies or whatever, it takes longer. I think more about them maybe, or I just don't disappear into this world, and it's not the escapism in the same way. And so it took me a little while to read this book, longer than equated how much I enjoyed it. I gave this 4 stars, and if you're a fan of Sarah Millican, I would recommend it. She discusses a lot of things, from divorce to being a female in a very male-oriented world, or because she's a comedian, and I don't know, I just really like it, her way of words. I can hear her voice as I read it. I'm reading it in her accent, and I just think that she is a wonderful person, and yes, I enjoyed this book. But I can't talk about every book for as long as this, so let's keep moving. Next up I have 2 books from Rainbow Rowell, one that I read last year and one that I've read this year, and they are Attachments and Eleanor and Park. And Attachments is set in 1999, and the main character we meet is a man called Lincoln who works in IT, and his role is to read flagged emails if anyone's doing anything that the company don't like at a newspaper. So if they're discussing things that they shouldn't be, like personal things or anything like that, and Lincoln's supposed to provide them with a warning. And then we meet two ladies who also work at the newspaper, and they are called Beth and Jennifer. Yes, they're called Beth and Jennifer, and they're writing to each other about very personal stuff, and so their emails are flagged and Lincoln reads them, but he fails to send them the warnings, and so he continues to read their emails, which feels a little bit weird. I don't know how to voice what I'm trying to say, in that I just felt a little bit awkward at times, and I didn't truly believe the love story, and I didn't feel invested, and so it was just a general good 3 stars from me. The other Rainbow Rowell book, which was the first Rainbow Rowell book I read, was Eleanor and Park. I will be UnHauling this because I won't be rereading it. In this book we follow Eleanor and Park, and this is a 1980s love story about 2 outsiders. I gave this book 4 stars. It was an easy read. The ending wasn't what I expected, and it didn't feel like a proper ending for me, but maybe that's just me and what it is that I expect from a book. But I just found it quite enjoyable, quite sweet at times. It's quite the characters have quite a difficult life at times, or one of them especially, so it's not all fairy tales and roses and sweetness and whatever. Some of it's quite true and difficult times. So anyway, I'm talking lots about these, so I'm going to move on. Why am I doing this? I don't know. The next book I am unhauling is The Keeper of Lost Things by Ruth Hogan. I gave this 3.5 stars, but I rounded it up to 5 on Goodreads rather than down to 3, because Lucy, one of the main characters, really likes dogs, and Ruth Hogan in her acknowledgements acknowledges her dog or dogs, and my dogs would also make my acknowledgements if ever I was an author. So for those reasons I upgraded it from 3.5 to 4, but essentially there is an older gentleman who is finding items. He collects them all, catalogues them all, and leaves everything to Laura. I called her Lucy, but to his assistant Laura, and we go on from there. It just didn't really feel real, which I know books don't have to feel real. I like a lot of fantasy books, but I wasn't that invested in it, but it was a good read, so I gave it 3.5 stars out of 5. Next we have The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, which, who's this by? Oh yeah, Stuart Turton, and this is The 7 Half Deaths in the US. I was really excited to read this, and I read this as part of a book club group of girls at work, and we were all bitterly disappointed. We started it and we were all like, yes, we're gonna love this. This is gonna be a great book, a 5-star book. And as we got further into it, we were like, oh, okay. And then it got to a point and you feel like the book should finish, but then it carries on and it goes even further, and it just doesn't satisfy me, or didn't satisfy the other girls either. We were just all disappointed, and that's a really sad thing to say. So I definitely won't be rereading this book. I think I gave it 3 stars, and it's a shame because I won't recommend it to anybody now, so that's why this will be going to the charity shop. The most recent read of all of these books is this, which is The Unseen World by Liz Moore, and in this book we follow Ada Sibelius, and she is 12 in 1980. This book jumps through timelines, and it does all eventually sort of come together, but basically Ada's father is a computer scientist, and he really enjoys other science too, and he gets diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and he gives Ada a clue or something that she has to solve, and that she doesn't know what it's for or what it's going to unravel, but on the front of the book it says, as a father's memory fails, can his daughter uncover the truths of his past? I was disappointed with this in some ways because I'm a scientist and I'm a biologist, and I was really hoping that this would be quite science-based. I hoped that the thing he'd got her to solve would be scientific, and I thought it would go in more of a science direction. That was my own misinterpretation, and just projecting my wishes onto this book. But actually it was more about a young girl's development through life without her mother and father, how she develops as a person and what happens in her life, whilst also a tiny bit alongside of her trying to solve what her father gave her. The next book is Beautiful Bitch by Christina Lauren. This is book 1.5, so it's in between book 1 and 2 of the Beautiful Bastard series, and it's a novella, and you don't need to read it. It's tiny, there's no real point to it in some ways. I don't think I would have missed a lot without reading it. It cost me a fair bit of money because it was hard to get hold of, and it wasn't in my library or anywhere, and so I bought it online, and I was quite disappointed with how wee it was for how much I had to pay for it to get my mitts on it. So I think I might skip the novellas going forward, other than the ones that I already have. I wouldn't read it again, wouldn't really recommend it. I think it's probably a 3 stars. Next we have the first 2 books in a series, and this series was recommended by some readers in, I think it was Wild Readers, which is Louise Pentland's reading group, and they really like this series, so I picked up the first 4 or 5 books in the series, and the first one is I Heart New York and the second one is I Heart Hollywood, and I've read both of these in, I don't know, the last 6 months or so. In this series we're following Angela Clark, and it begins when she's at a wedding and she finds her boyfriend, don't know if he's a fiance, but finds her boyfriend cheating on her, and she just packs up her troubles in her old kit bag and disappears to New York, and we follow her there as she just decides to try and live her life and forget what was going on in the UK. And we follow her into her second book too, and I'm sure to the other 8 books that are in the series. I by far preferred the New York one, maybe because I'm nostalgic for New York. I love New York, I've been a number of times. I got married in New York, and I love the city. I didn't enjoy Hollywood as much. I will continue with the series because I do have another 2 or 3 books, and weirdly I do enjoy these books. I gave I Heart New York 3.5, I believe, and Hollywood 3. They're a bit like a palate cleanse to me. They give me, I go into it knowing what I'm going to expect, know what I'm going to get. I get what I expect, that's what I wanted to say. I go into it knowing what I expect, and I get what I expect from them. They're not groundbreaking, they're just going to deliver a quick, easy book for me to read, and they are, as I said, a palate cleanser before going into something else. Anyway, thank you for watching, take care, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.